Buenos noches, amigos, and welcome to another episode of Not Another Sox podcast. I'm Jack Webster here with Matt Galveo and Matt LeBeau. Fellas, still in a lockout.
Yes, still in a lockout. We're still waiting. Talks are still coming in. Information's coming in slowly, but yeah, hopefully at some point we get this thing figured out because it fucking sucks right now.
Yeah, it's going to be nice when the intro can shift to, fellas, we're not in a lockout.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Over. Free.
We gotta earn it though. We gotta earn it.
Yeah, we're paying our dues right now for sure. It's there's definitely no end in sight, but again, you never know what can happen. It can end it at any second, and then it could also drag on until freaking May. So I'm still holding out hope that the season's going to start on time. But I don't know, losing it by the day.
Yeah, I think we're gonna miss a little bit of spring training at this point, and spring training's already too long as it is. So yeah. I think you can live with that. Maybe even just push the season back like an extra 2 weeks. We're playing baseball in mid-November. Who cares? Like, you'll live. So
yeah,
we'll see about everything.
We'll be playing baseball on Thanksgiving.
Yep. All right, Pete, all you perverts that celebrate Truck Day again. So really sorry.
Yeah.
Well, I think Truck Day's still going to happen. They still got to move the shit.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but it's not going to have the same impact. It's like Truck Day is going to be. It's just going to be such a bullshit holiday. It's just going to be like Truck Day this year is going to be like, I don't know, like what's a bullshit holiday? Like, oh, VJ Day would that?
Yeah.
Or like I don't know. What's a fucking bullshit holiday that people get off? I don't know.
I have no idea.
Columbus Day.
Columbus Day. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone's gonna be like, should we celebrate this? Like, I'm kind of guilty. Like, I feel kind of guilty
Indigenous
celebrating
Peoples Day now. Like,
then you're gonna have your Truck Day traditionalists, and you know.
Yep. You think it would still make a stop in Worcester? That's kind of out of the way, but.
Yeah, you can't anymore. Or the truck can start in Worcester and come down.
Right, yeah. That would make sense.
What if they still just came to McCoy, like, with nobody there?
Yeah.
Dude, honestly, I feel like if they went...
COVID testing, just... everyone, just the doctors just looking around like, what the fuck is this? A truck full of baseball.
They probably do need to pick up the COVID testing kit somewhere, though, so they might as well pick them up at McCoy Stadium.
Right.
Yeah.
They just make an excuse to swing by McCoy. Although I do feel like if they were to stop at McCoy, there'd be a bunch of sickos just waiting at McCoy, even though there's no Paw Sox.
Oh yeah, there would still be like those same 30 some odd people that have been going there for years, and they're just fucking just freaks. I love them, but man, like if you celebrate Truck Day at McCoy Stadium, you like, how do you face your family on Thanksgiving and Christmas?
Right.
Do we know when Truck Day is even supposed to be this year?
I don't know. Well,
do we ever know any year is the real question. I feel like Truck Day just happens.
We don't know until we see that one random Nesson commercial like 6 days before.
Yeah.
Truck Day, and then you're like, oh, Truck Day's coming up.
It's on when you're watching Charlie Moore. It's on one of the commercial breaks. They're just like, oh, Truck Day.
Truck Day, Red Sox 2022. Mark your calendar. Red Sox. Oh, nope, that's the schedule. Well, last year it was like February 11th. And yeah, I don't know. Sometime in February. So
yeah.
Right before Valentine's Day. Hey baby.
Yeah.
We're going to Truck Day.
Yeah, you up? It's Truck Day.
But we do actually have a little bit of a fun episode here today. Not really too much going on in the world of baseball. They finally started talking to each other after a month of absolutely nothing at all. So we're going to look at some of the Red Sox no-hitters of the 21st century here. Kind of go over each one, how they, took place, and then kind of give their thoughts about it and, some other cool related stuff that's happened with the Red Sox over the last few years.
Yeah, I think we came to this consensus because I feel like a lot of people were obviously doing like Jon Lester specific episodes, and he retired, and obviously great career with the Red Sox. So we wanted to honor Lester, but incorporate a little bit of a different vibe. So honor those no hitters. Obviously, Lester threw a no hitter as a Boston Red Sox, so such an important moment for him. But figure we could take a look at the other ones: Nomo, Lowe, Buchholz, and have some fun with it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just kind of getting into the first one here. April 4th, 2001, Hideo Nomo against the Baltimore Orioles. This one's kind of a little bit of an older one. Probably not everybody that's listening were quite watching the Sox at that point, especially maybe like in early April game as well, second game of the season. But it is probably even one of the more impressive ones.
Yeah, I believe that was the first one that Orsillo called as the Sox broadcaster, I believe, too.
Yeah, and another thing, so these all these no hitters that we're going to talk about, they all have two things in common. One, they were called by Don Orsillo, which is really cool for his career, but they're also caught by Jason Varitek. So Varitek caught 4 no hitters, which is an absolutely incredible feat for a catcher to call that good of a game 4 times. With some guys, like obviously Lester, one of the greatest Red Sox pitchers of all time, but I mean Derek Lowe, a good pitcher, not an unbelievable pitcher. Buchholz, average, and Nomo kind of had an average career too. So a lot of credit to Jason Varitek.
He also that's also the most in history, right?
Yep, that
4
still
no-hitters.
holds true.
Yeah.
Catching 4 no hitters, what a legend!
No, that is absolutely legendary. So that was in 2001, and that was his Red Sox debut. So we have his Red Sox debut. It was Don Orsillo's first week as the play-by-play announcer for the Red Sox. Camden Yards, and I believe it was like a day game or something like that.
It did look pretty bright. It might have been like, maybe a 4:00 game or something along those lines. But that was a day game. Start time was actually at 7:48 p.m. So
oh, wow.
Even a little bit later of a normal start. So it was at night, but the game only lasted 2.5 hours since you have a good pitching performance. I think Rob Manfred would be jizzing himself over that time period for a baseball game now. But
yeah, maybe if we have a little audio, we could play maybe the Nomo audio.
Yes.
For the kids back home. But this was also
make it happen, man.
Yeah. Matt, you got a whole Sunday ahead of you.
There was a cool there was a cool little nugget here though. I believe this actually still holds true today, but it was the earliest no-hitter by calendar date in MLB history, April 4th.
That's a good stat. I like that stat. Yeah. So that was early in the season. Yeah.
Yeah.
Second earliest on the MLB calendar in terms of games as well. Bob Feller had a opening day no-hitter, but outside of that, this was the earliest done in the season besides that one game.
Yeah. Also, earliest player to be inducted into Cooperstown was Jason Dominguez, Yankees prospect, who is officially a Hall of Famer according to Yankee fans. So, just thought I'd.
This was also Nomo's second no-hitter. He had one with the Dodgers as well. So it's kind of cool that he was able to do it twice in his career because a lot of great pitchers never even had one.
Yeah, and imagine being like a baseball fan in Japan, right, and watching a guy like Nomo throw a no-hitter with 2 huge markets in America for not only sports in general, but specifically baseball. I think that's so cool. He threw a no-hitter for a huge market like the Dodgers and then a huge market like the Red Sox. I mean, that's really, really cool.
Yeah, and at that point, he was actually the 4th pitcher to throw a no-hitter in both leagues, which is pretty cool too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was looking up these little nuggets,
Dude, they call him Matty's stat sheet.
Matty's stat sheet and Matty's sound.
I love it.
Yeah, I just went to my favorite source for anything, Wikipedia.
Yeah. Well, Wikipedia never lies.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's dude.
It got me through high school and college.
Quick side note: the teachers that said you couldn't use Wikipedia, like they just wanted to make it more difficult. Wikipedia
Right.
was never wrong, and then like it was always factual information, and they would always just make it harder on you
Right.
because you can't cite Wikipedia. And then there would be always like that one kid in high school that you would like argue with, and you would look something up on Wikipedia, and you would prove your point on Wikipedia, and he'd be like, "Oh, dude, you can't trust Wikipedia. Like anyone can write stuff on Wikipedia. Like, dude, fuck you. Like, no one's just writing random information on Wikipedia. If you are like, all right, you might change like you might put like A-Rod is gay, like whatever.
Yeah.
But like that's it. And then they fix it in like 10 seconds. And then the kid's like, we can't trust Wikipedia. What do you mean? Wikipedia said it. Anything can be on Wikipedia. No.
So
Like, no.
One time in high school, my sister changed our school's Wikipedia to say, they had some line in there like, and we look to be as inclusive as a school as possible, yada, yada. And then she added, unfortunately, this has not become true today, as George Mason High School has developed a caste system based on race, gender, and financial status in the world. And it stayed up for like 3 months before it got taken down. It was honestly one of the funnier things my sister and her friends ever did.
Did anyone ever find out that she did that?
I don't think she got in trouble for it. Like, she didn't really get in trouble too much growing up outside of just being, mean older sister to me. But well, now honestly,
it's out.
Somebody
from that high school will now listen to this and find out.
Yep.
So Jack, you just aired her dirty laundry on Not Another Sox podcast. Congratulations.
Yeah, I know. My high school actually just got knocked down, and they made a whole new one.
Oh,
so
nice.
It doesn't matter at this point.
Yep.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. GMHS.
Yeah.
GMHS.
Go Mustangs.
Well, I guess going back to Nomo, he ended that game with 11 strikeouts, 3 walks, and did it all in 110 pitches. And like we mentioned before, it was only about a 2.5-hour game, so pretty quick and just an overall solid performance by Nomo.
Yeah. There was also some notable names in that Orioles lineup. It actually might be one of the harder lineups that he had to face. Leading off, Brady Anderson, Mike Broderick, DeLionel DeShields Sr., not Jr., David Sugi, Chris Richard, Melvin Mora, Cal Ripken Jr., Brooke Fortis, and Jerry Hairston at second base. So
wow, so so that was probably one of Cal's like last year, second to last year. So that's that's interesting. I mean, not a bad lineup. Mora.
Yeah, no, that was Cal's last year. And he ended up, not doing too bad that year. He ended the year with 14 home runs and that All-Star game in Seattle. So, I mean, it's not the most intimidating lineup that you might ever see. The team ended up in 4th place and didn't really do anything. But, it's not like these were a whole bunch of nobodies.
Yeah, I mean, quick shout out Melvin Mora. He stuck with the Orioles for pretty much his whole career, and they were never even close to good. And he was just anchoring third base for like 12 years, getting 66 wins every single year. Shout out Melvin Mora, the Morioles.
The Morioles, yes.
And then I think Nomo actually ended up with 220 strikeouts that year to lead the AL. So solid year.
Wow, I did not know that at all.
Solid year for Hideo Nomo.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Didn't we even talk about 01? No, we talked about 2000 before.
2000.
We talked about 2000, and we did 2002.
Yeah.
And we did 2005. And that's it. We've had all early 2000s years.
Yeah. We have not yet had a World Series year yet.
Yeah. No, not yet. I know. All right, so that was Nomo. Shout out Nomo if you're listening. maybe you might the last show might be a little better for you because the last show was in part Japanese. So
Yeah, right.
Nomo, if you're listening, actually go back to episode 12, and maybe you can get a little of that one.
Episode 11, the Don Orsillo one, also great too.
Also a great
Yes.
episode.
Yes.
Right.
That was still absolutely hilarious that Jack didn't realize that was in Japanese. When I went back and
learned
listened
Japanese just to, understand it.
Yeah. When I went back and listened to it, and I put the interview in that those 30 seconds or whatever it was,
Oh, yeah.
Of that interview, it was hilarious because Jack's like, this is what he had to say, and then it's all in Japanese, and then it's
Yep.
what?
I just realized that was in Japanese. And honestly, it was so funny re-listening to it. It was absolutely great.
Yeah. 10,000 IQ.
Yeah.
Well, now that
In my
now
defense, I caught it before you guys.
Yeah, I got to be honest. I didn't realize that until you said it. You thought about it, and I saw your face. You were thinking about it, and then you were like, "Oh no, that's actually in Japanese."
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to be honest. I didn't realize it until you did.
Yep.
Did you guys know that song "Turning Japanese" is about masturbation and not actual race changing?
No,
I didn't know that.
I didn't.
Yeah.
But obviously you did.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
But this is one of those fun things that you just talked about in 10th grade because it was just before the age of real social media or anything. So
yeah, just don't look it up on
sounds
Wikipedia to prove it to the
Right.
fucking drunk
Exactly.
menace in your
Right.
at your lunch table.
While you're trading snack packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we'll move on to the second no-hitter here. Derek Lowe, back in April 27th of 2002, against Tampa. 6 strikeouts, 1 walk, 97 pitches for D-Lo. After a year, when I was doing the research, that he had a pretty bad 0-1 year as a reliever, and then he came back and he had mentioned. I was reading an article from the Boston Globe from back in 2002 that he had a really rough time after that 0-1 season, and he was actually pretty scared. He was talking about even when he was in the bullpen and everything, and he was mentioning when he had to go to the bathroom, he was super scared. He had security in front of him. He received a bunch of threats and fan mail and all that kind of stuff, and he said he had a pretty rough off season after that 0-1 year, and then he ended up bouncing back in April of 2002 with the no-hitter, and he said that meant a lot to him to get that, and it kind of it took a lot of weight off his shoulders after that tough year in 2001.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, with D-Lo, he was used just improperly in 2001. Red Sox had an interim manager, Joe Kerrigan, and he used him out of the bullpen. And I know for a fact, Derek Lowe is a good pitcher. He's not unbelievable, but he was a lot better than what he showed in 2001. And he was just used really badly. And I know there was always the talk of him struggling with it. He definitely went through an adjustment period. Definitely some challenges emotionally for him, especially when you do bad in Boston. It's 10 times worse. Right. So definitely a gratifying moment for him. He overcame a lot as well. He had a lot of issues, a lot of injury issues, a lot of thumb issues. He had a lot of issues with his skin. He would do really bad in the sun. So he had kind of a rough go, a lot of ups and downs, but
right.
He was a very fiery person, very passionate. I think the fans of Boston could definitely relate to him very well. And shout out D-Lo. I feel the one moment besides the no-hitter, which we'll get into the no-hitter a little more, but D-Lo, the one thing that I remember is in the ALDS in 2003, after he got the last out, he struck out. I don't remember which Oakland A it was, but he looked to the bench and he fucking just grabbed his nuts at the Oakland A's bench. I mean, that is just, that really is badass moment. If you rewatch it, he straight up gives the suck my,
yeah,
at the Oakland A's dugout. And it's just awesome. He was just a fiery guy, but yeah, his no-hitter, definitely clinical, ground ball pitcher. He was a technician. I was actually listening to that game on the radio in my mom's Dodge Caravan. Shout out Dodge Caravan.
Yep. Classic family car.
No free
Classic minivan.
Yep.
But no, Lowe had a really fantastic 2002 season all around. He finished third in Cy Young Award voting. He had a 2.58 ERA, which at the time was a 177 ERA plus, just given it was the steroid era. So anything under 3 was just remarkable. So whip under 1. Didn't really strike out a lot of guys, only 5.2 per 9, but he only walked 2 guys per 9. So really all around great season there. And I mean, probably the best that he ever had in his career.
Yeah, I mean, they had a good 1-2 punch that year. Pedro, Lowe, and then, I mean, they had a couple other guys that stepped up. I think all in all, that team was good, just a little disappointing. I think the Yankees were just so much better. But, yeah, that no-hitter, I mean, again, these no-hitters, they all kind of have a lot of common ground in the sense that they're all against kind of bad teams. And, I mean, the pitching performances like Lowe, it was a great pitching performance, but it wasn't dominant. Like, it wasn't like, he didn't strike out 13 guys.
Right.
I mean, 6 strikeouts, that's like, you got a lot of ball luck there, a couple of good plays. But, yeah, I mean, that's what it's all about with a guy like that.
Yeah. And, it wasn't also one of those no-hitters like Edwin Jackson's where he had 8 walks. He only did have 1 walk during that one. So in terms of, not letting a lot of guys get on base, like he was able to do it under 100 pitches, with just kind of soft contact, which was kind of, the type of pitcher that he was, not without really high strikeout numbers. But it was not a particularly good Rays team for sure. They were just god-awful.
Yeah, they were pretty brutal.
Yep. And I guess just going through that lineup there, Toby Hall catching, Steve Cox at first, Brett Abernathy at second, Chris Gomes at short, Jared Sandberg at third, Carl Crawford left, Randy Wynn at center, Ben Grieve at right, and Aubrey Huff DHing.
I think I have a
lineup.
different lineup from.
Oh, it's the wrong one. 0-2 Rays.
Yeah, no, on Baseball Reference, it's Jason Tyner, Randy Wynn, Steve Cox, Bobby Hall, Ben Grieve, Greg Vaughn, Brent Abernathy, Russ Johnson, and Felix Escalona.
Yeah, so maybe Galvez, you should have like the opening day lineup up.
Could be. Oh, could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Classic mix-up. I was hot out of the gate, but
No, that's all right.
I mean, back to earth.
No, I
the O2 Rays.
This is just what the internet's telling me.
Right.
The
No,
O2 Rays. Yeah, and that's probably right, Jack. So you probably.
I don't think Carl Crawford was on the O2 Rays. That's the only thing that really caught my attention. I think that was before he came around.
Nah, Carl Crawford was definitely on the O2 Rays.
Yeah, 0-2, yeah. He played 63 games that year.
Yeah, he was just hurt all the time. Yeah, he was just hurt.
O2 Rays.
O2 Rays, Carl Crawford, Rocco Baldelli, some athletes, some gazelles, but they they both had injury problems.
Red Sox legend Carl Crawford.
Yeah. Also, Ricky Henderson was playing for us that game. Often forgotten to be on the Red Sox, but
did not forget him.
Let off. This was also probably the most lopsided score out of them, 10-0. I mean, just absolute garbage race team. There was just nothing going right for them at the time.
Yeah, they really struggled in that time, and the Red Sox were really their daddies. It was, I mean, it was always like Pedro, 10 strikeouts versus the Rays. Whoever chilling 10 strikeouts versus the Rays, just mopping the Rays 10-0 or 10-2, and then they would be like an occasional like brawl thrown in there, and then I mean, that was it. Open the season against the Rays, sweep them in the Trop, and then now the Red Sox can't fucking buy a win in the Trop. Now it's the House of Pain. Yep.
And
somehow attendance is still just as bad.
Yep.
Right. Montreal. And that was actually the first no-hitter at Fenway in 37 years.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, Derek Lowe.
Yeah,
and,
so that started a string then. That was the first one of, yep.
Yeah, 37 years with no-hitter. And then and then there was one, there was another wild nugget that Lowe shook off Varitek only once the entire game.
Wow. Yeah, and that's a testament to Varitek. I mean, he was just such an excellent game caller. And I think that, like, there was always rumors about him being, like, a very good pitching coach after his career was over. Obviously, like, the manager thing. But it's very, like, uncommon for a non-pitcher to be a pitching coach. But, like, Pedro always said that he would just make an excellent pitching coach because he was just so clinical and just so good with the pitchers that he didn't need to have pitching experience to be a good coach. That's I think that spoke volumes to how he called the game. 4 no-hitters. It doesn't. That's not a coincidence. I mean, 4 no-hitters. Right. You're not calling 4 no-hitters and that's just sheer luck. Like,
right. You have to be good at what you do.
Right.
And he was.
He was excellent.
No, went to the Little League, College, and Real World Series too. I mean, quite the resume.
Yeah, that's also not luck. Like, fucking Georgia Tech, the Red Sox. I mean, these things don't just happen by accident. He's a leader. He was an excellent player on both sides of the field. Just shout out Varitek for sure.
Yeah. The true captain, not that some motherfucker named Derek.
Yeah. Some pretty
the real C.
Yeah.
Imagine your hero being named Derek.
People forget Mark Wahlberg shot Derek Jeter.
Yes, and he really should have shot A-Rod.
You should have shot A-Rod.
Yeah.
Also, some just final notes about that Derek Lowe no-hitter. That one was a day game, which was cool. I like a good daytime no-hitter.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of, you don't have to stay up late. Some of those, like, East or West Coast ones are like 1 o'clock in the morning. You don't even see it until the next morning. This was,
right.
As about as prime time as you're, gonna get.
I feel like day games just hit different. There's like just a different vibe about a day baseball game.
Oh yeah,
it's just nice. It is nice,
dude. Getting out of like I remember back in the day, you get out of your baseball game, like Little League or whatever. You kick off the cleats and then you're just watching the Red Sox, and it's just time. Life was good, man. Not a worry in the world. And then you didn't really you didn't really have any Sunday scaries,
No.
Yep. It was just life was
just
good.
Had to worry about like doing multiplication homework and social studies on Christopher Columbus.
Yeah. Yep. Now I don't use multiplication and Christopher Columbus is canceled. So nothing I learned 14, 15 years ago is still applicable.
Yeah.
No. Then I don't even use the Pythagorean theorem.
No, which is a shocker.
And guess what?
Fuck.
I do have a fucking calculator on me at all times now. Yeah, these 4th grade teachers are fucking liars.
Yep, you're not going to be able to use a calculator in the real world, really. Well, I'm pretty sure I can look up on my phone in my hand how long an elephant's nutsack hair is.
Yeah.
A matter of 2 seconds. So, fucking shove it up your ass.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's so true. They had no idea, those idiots.
Same thing with the Wikipedia thing. This all comes back to the Wikipedia thing. That's when my hatred for school started. Like, you're telling me I can't use this beautiful resource, which is, and then I saw a meme. Like, I saw a meme on the internet. It was a couple of years ago, and it said like the kids that used Wikipedia are all like in jail. And I was like, wait, what?
What? Yeah.
What are you, like, holier than thou? Because you you use sources for your like books and like in the library, dude. Give me a break. Like, oh my God.
They use like what they were like, oh, you have to use like journals and like
peer-reviewed evidence.
Right. Yeah, like peer-reviewed bullshit.
Yeah, no shot.
Yeah, if it's not MLA or MTA or BBC or whatever format that you're using.
Fuck the works cited page, dude.
Oh, that was my enemy.
Yeah.
Because
Bibliography.
I sometimes just lied. I knew they wouldn't check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly. And that's the thing. Like writing the essay was never an issue because I was so good at bullshitting. I would just make shit up.
Yeah.
Like I would just sound like it was legit. And then I came to time like where I would have to cite my sources, and I'd be like, well, my brain. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Cite my sources.
Wikipedia.
Yeah, these are my thoughts.
Dude, I wish I could go back in school and just like do that on my works cited page. Just have one cited, and just be like my brain. Yes.
I already knew a lot about this.
Yeah.
This is why I chose this subject.
You can't tell me
so
what
I
I know.
didn't have to do work. Me, like in college and high school, just writing any paper about baseball that I could because I was just lazy.
Yeah.
You always tried to write about baseball. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I feel like a lot of listeners to the podcast can relate to that as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your teacher's just like, Jack, not another baseball essay. Come on, man.
Yeah. That's how we thought of the name.
I took a class. It was a community college class. It was we had to write about like an art form that we felt was like cultural, and I chose to write about baseball. And I was like it was great. It was a great piece, and I was like, baseball is beautiful. Like it's poetic. It's cultural, just genius. It's art. And she was like, baseball is not art. You have to do something else. And I dropped the class the next day. I was like, no, this is baseball is art, and I never went back. Never went back.
Dude. Yeah. That's what I don't get about art class. Like, I was actually just had this thought the other day. I was like, how can you be graded at art class? It's art. It's like what you think it is. Like it's up. You can do whatever you want. Like, you could draw a stick figure, and that's art.
That's
like,
art.
How can you fail in art class?
But that's not art with a capital A.
Yeah.
No, but it's a good point. Like art is whatever. It's perspective.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
It's like maybe a stick figure. Maybe you like the simplicity of it. Maybe you enjoy the fact that it's so beautifully simple. You know, like that's. But no, they just want to make your life harder.
Yeah, I think it's just like a fuck school. You know.
Oh yeah, 100%.
This is educational advice.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kids, if you're listening, drop out, please.
Drop out of school.
Yeah.
And also smoke cigarettes.
Yeah. And meth.
Disrespect your surroundings.
Smoke cigarettes. This is medical advice again. Yep. Dr. LeBeau.
And plus,
in the
it'll
building.
just make you look cool.
Yeah, it does make you look cool. That you can confirm, 100%.
Yeah.
Dude, you always wanted to be that kid outside your high school, just like ripping cigs before you go in at like 7:30 in the morning.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. They were cool.
Fuck your
sorry.
Juul pod.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That was way before Juuls.
It's mango flavored.
Here's my Marlboro Red, son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Speaking of a guy that looks like he stood outside of his high school and smoked cigarettes, the next person on our list is Clay Buchholz to throw a no hitter. And
he really
this one September 1st, 2007. This one's very, very dear to me because I was actually at this game.
Oh.
Shout out my mom who took me to this game.
Nice.
And it was
you know
it
where
was
you were sitting?
Yes, I do. I was actually, believe it or not, I was in the front row, right near like the foul pole, like right near Pesky's pole, but the front row. So they were actually they were really 6 seats. Like that was an awesome experience because the one memory I have of like sitting that close was like the national anthem, and players are standing up on the field and they're like so close to you, and you feel like you genuinely feel like you're on the field, like with the players for the national anthem. It was really a really cool experience. September 1st, 2007. Great day. One of my favorite days of all time.
So he had actually gotten called up that same day.
Yeah, he did.
No. Second career start of his.
Yep.
Dude, that's why, like they always say in sports, like you just always got to be ready to go. Like you never know when you're gonna get called, and this guy just got called that same day and pitched a no-hitter, which is that's just great. I mean, you get the call up, you're ready to go, and you fucking pitch a no-hitter. That's sick.
100%. I mean, imagine your family, your friends, saying, wow, it's Clay's second start in the big leagues and he's throwing a no hitter. And like the Orioles, those Orioles teams in that time period, like 07, 08, 09, that was before they started to become like pretty good and they started to compete. But I will say those teams were better than the record showed. I think that just the Red Sox and the Yankees just dominated, and the Rays were good, and like that division was just stacked. Those teams had some good players. Yeah, Adam Jones, Nick Markakis, they were pretty solid. So 07 Orioles, I mean, weren't the worst team in the world.
Yeah, no, just looking at the lineup here, Brian Roberts, Mr. Oriole leading off. Corey Patterson, Nick Markakis, Miguel Tejada, good friend Kevin Millar, everybody's favorite Twitter user, Aubrey Huff, Scott Moore, J.R. House, and Jay Payton. So there's, some notable names in there. It wasn't the offense's fault for the Orioles being so bad that year. It's always their pitching.
Yeah, certainly a decent lineup. Like if you're looking back on the lineups and you're comparing them for all these no hitters, I mean, we'll get into Lester's against the Royals, but that lineup there, just Markakis, Brian Roberts, Miguel Tejada alone is a very solid core. It's a really solid core. Some really good players, and he ended the game on a strikeout to Markakis and just absolutely fooled him on a curveball, just stymied him. So, yeah, good performance.
No, Brian Roberts at the time was batting 302, Nick Markakis 293, and Miguel Tejada 304. Those are three guys that, can put the ball in play and, get base hits.
Yeah. I mean, that core lineup right now, if you put them in those numbers in, major league lineup, I think that their top three would probably be better than most teams or a lot of teams. I mean, Miguel Tejada had a lot of power. Brian Roberts, a lot of speed, got on base a lot. And Nick Markakis was definitely a very well-rounded hitter. So,
do you remember what it was like, that final pitch?
Unbelievable. What everyone was on their feet. Yeah, it was just it was like a church how quiet it was in between pitches because everyone was just locked in and trying not to mess them up. And then it just erupted. But I've never felt like that. The energy build so much in a stadium where it was just like we were waiting. I was like when he was in his windup, just complete calm. Like no one was saying a word. And then, the last pitch, it was absolutely wild. It was really fun.
That's definitely one on the bucket list. The no-hitter live.
Yep. Seeing a no-hitter was one of my favorite moments. My quick note, my dad, he lived in Florida for a little while when I was in 10th grade, and he had tickets to go to a Marlins game. It was a completely random Marlins game, and he was telling me about it. He was he's pretty excited, and he just didn't end up going. He was a little tired. He got the tickets were $5. They were practically giving them away. So I wake up the next day. I give him a call. I'm like, "Hey, Dad, you go to the Marlins game last night? I can't believe Roy Halladay threw a perfect game." And he's like,
no.
Yeah, he still has the ticket stubs this day, but he never went. And so he was like, yeah, people the next day, people at work were offering him a ton of money for the ticket stubs and whatnot. And yeah, he just never went.
Oh my God.
That's unbelievable.
Yep.
Jesus.
That's why you need to get season tickets to the Red Sox so you don't miss anything potentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's got to be the most gut wrenching thing, dude. When you look and you're like, shit.
Horrible.
What an idiot.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Shout out Ed LeBeau if you're listening, which he's been trying to listen. He's not very tech savvy, so I had to show him, but he definitely is taking initiative. He's trying.
Yeah. That's okay. Shout out for
My
trying.
mom has promised to listen to my podcast every time, and I tell her, you don't have to. She does not care about baseball.
Yeah.
She probably
Yeah.
doesn't want to hear me curse this much or talk about jizz and Tony the Tiger's dick and shit. So, Lori, if you are listening, I apologize and I love you.
Yeah. My mom does listen. I know she does. She's a very supportive person. So I could have a podcast about like dirt, and she'd be like, "Oh, this is so good. You're so talented."
I'm gonna tell all my friends about this.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much the case.
Tell her to get all her friends to subscribe.
Yep.
To the pod.
And rate us 5 stars, more importantly.
Yes. We need a 5-star rating. Yeah.
5
That's
stars.
a whole thing that I'm going to try and work on with her. But again, she's not the most tech savvy human being.
Yeah.
We'll try little by little, baby steps.
Yeah.
One day you're listening, and the next day maybe rate it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, if you're listening, if let's say, you're at a bar and this hot girl asks you to put her number in her phone, don't do it. Go to Apple Podcasts, go search Not Another Sox podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and,
like
rate us 5 stars, leave a nice little review. We will read it on the show for you if you do this. So this is the best way that you're going to find your waifu.
Yeah, this is dating advice by Jack Webster.
This is dating advice. We would actually love that if there is ever a story that someone did that and there is some proof, then we will definitely give you a hat. I can guarantee you we will get you a Not Another Sox podcast hat. But yeah, the old Venmo trick where the girls were, taking the dude's phone and they were just like Venmoing themselves like $800. Well, fuck the Venmo. Just go on Apple Podcast.
Yeah.
Rate us 5 stars. And give it back.
That's just as good as Venmoing yourself $800.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. That's what I would spend $800 on for sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's how much a subscription is worth for sure.
Yep.
That's the exact price of one hat.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
Hats are here, by the way. You can see
Hats
them.
Those are beautiful.
Very, very excited.
Those
we
are
got
beautiful.
3. We'll be ordering more. I have some friends asking about them. I want to get some hats for a few family members, maybe some friends. So yeah, faux show.
It'll be out there soon. You'll be seeing them at Fenway this season.
Oh yeah.
We are going to opening day if it does start on time. And even if it doesn't start on time, we'll probably still be going to opening day.
Yeah, whichever day it is, we'll be going.
Yeah.
But this hat is a really stylish hat.
It is.
It's very nice. It's not just like, shoddy. It's not like just like some plain ass basic hat. It's a nice hat.
Right.
And this style is very in right now.
Yeah, the truckers, Yep. So that actually is a good point that you made. I know last episode we talked about Shaughnessy getting no bitches, but you know what would help is if he was wearing one of those hats.
Oh yeah.
I think he would score for sure.
If Shank was wearing one of those with the curls flowing out of it, maybe the back and the sides a little bit, and maybe one hair just strangling out of the net in the back,
Yeah, exactly.
And you just kind of want to just come out like and just clip
holes.
it. Yeah. The hole. It's just kind of just peeking out. It's just saying hello.
You just want to take a scissor to it?
Yeah, you just want to take like one really fine, sharp scissor to it and just snip it.
Yeah.
He would pull. I don't care how insufferable he actually is. He would definitely pull.
This is dating advice as well. I mean, if you wear that hat, you will get bitches.
Right. And one person said something about like how Shaughnessy gets people to read the Boston Globe because he's so insufferable. I don't think anyone's reading the Boston Globe for Dan Shaughnessy. I don't think anyone's going to the newsstand and being like, oh, let me see what Dan Shaughnessy wrote in the Sunday Globe. Like, if anyone's doing that, come forward, please. I'd like to just understand the thought process and embarrass you publicly on Twitter because that's ridiculous. No one's doing it.
Personally, I don't know how to read.
Yeah.
Right. And that's because you used Wikipedia all those years, so you just fried your brain.
And now I'm in prison.
Yep.
That's why I do these backgrounds. It's not because, I like changing it up. It's because I don't want you to see that I am in a prison cell.
Yeah.
And
With my dog still.
I guess quickly, I mean, we haven't had a call to prison, but I think it's fair to say that all the teachers that hate Wikipedia, they get the call to prison.
Yep.
Yeah.
Call to prison.
The Rob
This
Levine
is
call to prison. Yeah.
Rob Levine, attorney Rob Levine, heavy hitter, call to prison. All the teachers that said, do not use Wikipedia. You cannot use Wikipedia as a source.
Or you will end up in jail.
They should go.
They are now in jail.
Yes.
Yeah.
They are now in jail. Yeah.
Look how the turntables.
Yep. Look how the turntables.
That's what they get for teaching critical race theory.
Oh God.
Yeah, Jesus.
Getting controversial here on Another Sox Pod.
I think we're gonna get shadow banned just from that.
You're gonna have to find this episode on the dark web.
Yep.
Yes. We should do like a secret episode of the show and only release it on the dark web.
Yep.
Only Kyle Sullivan will find it.
Yeah.
Shout out Kyle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
Number one fan of the show.
Yeah. And just a great kid. Love the interaction. Kyle, if you're listening, we appreciate you. The OG NASP fan. So
No. He followed the Twitter before both of you.
That's
awesome.
that's wild.
That's awesome.
We do have one last no-hitter to talk about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have Jon Lester versus the Kansas City Royals. Also, just another dog shit baseball team that happened to be playing at Fenway Park. They're 21-23 at the time, and they finished off the year 75-87. 87.
Yeah, and this was, I think, very, very intense moment, intense game at Fenway. I think a lot of emotions. Lester, being that franchise pitcher that Red Sox fans wanted him to be from day one, and no hitter was kind of just justification. Also, the cancer thing and a lot of ups and downs in his career, and you could hear it in Don Orsillo's voice. Which, if you want to play it, that'd be great. But yeah, this was definitely an exciting one. I think probably out of the four, the most exciting. And I think everyone agrees on Twitter. We did a little Twitter poll. I think everyone agrees that this was their favorite, and this was the most exciting.
Right, and like you mentioned, there was a lot of emotion in this one. Obviously, he had been through a lot, prior to this, and then he was, that up and coming, pitcher, that young stud that the Red Sox, fans would have loved to have. And, he pitched a hell of a game, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks, all in 130 pitches. And then that was the 18th no-hitter in Red Sox history. And he was the second pitcher to no-hit the Royals at that time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, the Royals have been like the no-hit, I guess. What's the term I'm looking for? They've been no-hit the most, so they were like the no-hit guinea pigs, if you will.
Right.
Like they've just been hammered with no-hitters.
You want a no-hitter face the Royals.
Yeah, you want a no-hitter face the Royals. Yep.
I do think it's hilarious how every other year the Rays have a no-hitter thrown against them. Like, I feel like that's just been consistent. Like, every single year, the Rays are like, oh, yeah, like, we finished with, 95 wins, but we also got no-hit twice off of, Phil Humber or some shit like that.
Yep. No, that is incredible. And especially, now that they're a respectable franchise, that is really amazing. They're always getting no-hit. Always. Who was Corey Kluber's against this year?
That was against the Texas Rangers, who I believe had another, Musgrove. He also had a no-hitter against them this year. Yeah.
Yeah, no hit twice.
I think the Mariners had 2 against them, and I think the Indians had 2 against them this year as well.
Yeah, that's tough. 2 in 1 year is really tough. Are the Red Sox the only team to have a no-hitter thrown against them and win the World Series? Is that confirmed? Confirm that somehow? That That sounds like a stat that would be a stat, but I just made it up. But it just sounds like it would be a thing that's real because
history is whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I could see the Marlins, the 03 Marlins being no hit. The Red Sox molloped the 03 Marlins like 25-8, and they came back and won a World Series. And that's actually incredible. I think we're.
Yeah, I was trying to look that up, but I think that would be. I don't know.
It sounds right.
I think
we're gonna go with it.
I think we're just gonna go with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a stat. Red Sox, the first team to win a World Series and be no hit in the same year. We can confirm on the show.
Yeah, that is confirmed. We looked it up on Wikipedia.
And we did look it up.
No, I'm literally looking up no hitters on Wikipedia right now, and the Marlins were not no hit in 03. So
okay, so then there you go.
But the Yankees were.
Okay, yeah, combined no hitter with the Houston Astros.
Yep. Roy Oswalt had to leave that game after just one inning, so it's not like one of those modern day ones where a guy just goes 4 innings and then the bullpen kind of takes over from there inning by inning. That was an actual case of they just had to put it together that day.
Yeah.
Back when the Astros were an NL team, OGs remember.
Yep.
But just an unbelievable performance. I think to be, obviously we've already mentioned that's probably the favorite. But to be at that game must have been just unbelievable. I can't even imagine the buzz, that was there as the game got later and later, and Lester was closer and closer to that no hitter, and then obviously right at the end when he gets it done, that buzz at Fenway must have been unbelievable.
Oh yeah, just to have a guy like Lester specifically, like Buchholz was cool because it was a second start, but Lester was like their superstar, their star pitcher, and I think that's more important than just like a rookie in a second start throwing a no hitter, or like a new free agent that you just signed, like from wherever throwing a no hitter. In Nomo's case, like Jon Lester was their franchise pitcher, and that was special. That was special.
And he was at homegrown.
He was still young.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really the last homegrown talent that we've had for a pitcher.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looks like Tanner Houck is going to break that mold a little bit, but he's the last one.
We're still waiting on Henry Owens.
Yeah. Well, of course, besides Anthony Arenado and Henry Owens, they should have some breakout years finally this year. But
I'm thinking 2022 is their year.
Yeah. I think so. Yep.
Casey Kelly, Cy Young Award winner for the Nissan Lions out of the KBL.
Yeah, he's crushing it. He really is. Like in the KBL, is he still out there?
Yeah, I believe so. I don't know if he's still going to be in there next year, but he's still rocking. Thank you for Adrian Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yes.
But no, Lester at that point too, he just came off that 07 postseason run as well. So he was, well known and kind of respected at this point, even though he, ended up putting together what I think is a Hall of Fame career. Like he was still, kind of figuring things out then and really hitting his stride. Like he had even better years to come after that 08 season.
Yeah. Jon Lester, just an unbelievable career. Shout out to him. Obviously, he retired.
Yeah.
He was the inspiration for this episode, but just a guy that when you needed a big start and you needed someone to, be the stopper and leave his nuts on the mound. Besides obviously Nick Pivetta,
Right.
Lester was really the guy. He would leave it all out there, and he wanted the team to win more than anything. So really thankful to have him in Boston, pretty much with what should have been his whole career, obviously, but wasn't able to be his whole career. Glad he got the opportunity to prove himself with the Cubs and win a World Series with them. So, yeah, that was special for him.
No, absolutely. And I mean, this stat was going around Twitter where he had the same win percentage and same ERA that he did with the Red Sox and the Cubs. So would it have been a good deal at the end of the day? It probably would have been, but I'm glad he kind of almost got like 2 chapters of it for himself.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep. Oh, Zach, for sure.
And if you don't think he doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame because he only has a 44 wins above replacement, just actually watch the game. I'm a big stat guy, but like put Jon Lester in the Hall of Fame. 3 World Series, great postseason career. He deserves to be in there.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pitchers that in the 2000s, like they're going to get left off because of like the metric for Hall of Fame pitchers from 1920 to 2000 was just so different. So you have to look at different things. Like you're not having the longevity. You're not going to have those guys that got like 280 wins, and like you're just not going to have that. Wins shouldn't be a factor. ERA shouldn't be as much of a factor. Like look at stuff. Guys are throwing so much harder. To have a 18-year career is so difficult now for a pitcher. So 12 good years or 13 good years should be looked at just the same. I mean, Hall of Fame players the Hall of Fame should be about having the best players.
Yeah.
Whether you're able to do it for 20 years or whether you're able to do it for 12 should not be a factor.
Really I agree.
If you can be good in the prime of your career and be the most feared player at your position, which Lester was one of the best pitchers at his position for a lot of years, then you should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. 100%.
I do think for how great Jon Lester was at pitching, it was hilarious about how bad he was at fielding and specifically trying to pick guys off. Like he could just not do it at all.
He couldn't. And it was purely mental. Like it really was like he just couldn't break it mentally, which I can imagine be very tough. Obviously I had the talent. I mean, he was an athlete, so just, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just don't put the guy on first in the first place. That's the easy solution.
Right. Exactly.
Ended up with a few career home runs as well, which was kind of cool because he was dog shit on the Red Sox whenever he had to bat.
Oh, yeah. The Red Sox has some brutal hitting pitchers.
And
go ahead.
Put in the universal DH.
100%.
Yes. Yeah. I agree. So, those were the 4, that we had in the 2000s here. So I don't know if you guys had any other things that you wanted to touch upon at all.
Well, I think if you guys want to go ahead and rank them, your favorites, a little 1 through 4. We had a Twitter poll that got a lot of love. And
let's go ahead and read the results of the Twitter poll first.
Sure.
So there was 59 votes. With 50% of the vote, it was Lester versus Kansas City. Then with 29, it was Buchholz versus Baltimore. Then Lowe versus Tampa at 14%. And Nomo versus Baltimore again with only 7%. So clear 2 favorites there with, kind of the more recent ones and kind of the more notable names that you might remember as Red Sox pitchers. But I think, my list pretty much looks the same, honestly.
Yeah. So mine's the same, except I got to flip Lester and Buchholz just because I was at the Buchholz one.
Right.
And that's just such a big part of like my memory as a Red Sox fan, especially growing up. But the Lester one was definitely the most exciting. I would have probably rather been at that one. But Buchholz, I mean, I got to be honest. If you look at those pitching performances, Buchholz might be the most dominant one. Like his stuff, if you watch those games, like both of those games, 1 through 9, Buchholz was untouchable. He was grotesque. Like his stuff was unbelievable. Curveball, like they were just fanning at the curveball. And the Buchholz one was cool. Dustin Pedroia made a no-hitter saving play. It was like an absolute diving play in the hole at second base and saved a no-hitter. So that one was my favorite. But Nomo last, just because of how long ago it was, I think. Right? That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's one you don't really remember as clearly. Obviously, it was back in 01, so, it was about 21 years ago. So, yeah, obviously that's one that you're not going to remember as fondly. But I think mine would have to mirror the poll as well. I would probably just have to go Lester, Buchholz, Lowe, and then Nomo. So yeah, I think the audience got it right. I think their opinions their opinion mirrors, I guess, all of ours as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I agree.
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
Stop the count.
Stop
We're
the
going to
count.
delete the poll. And that's it.
Quick honorable mention to some other notable pitching performances in Red Sox history. Roger Clemens, 20 strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners. They show that game on NESN quite a bit. And I believe Jerry Remy was in the booth. I think that was like his first. That was the late 80s. So I think that was Remy's like first taste. Don't quote me on that. I want to say he was in the booth for that. But yeah, just an absolutely dominant performance. And the Pedro Martinez one-hitter against the Yankees. And it was Chili Davis, home run. It was the only run the Yankees scored. But Pedro was absolutely lights out. I want to say he had like 17 strikeouts or something like that.
17 strikeouts, no walks.
No walks. Yep. So
I think it's the highest game score in Red Sox pitching history.
Yeah. Definitely the most dominant. I think out of all the dominant pitching performances, that's the most dominant because that lineup was unbelievably good. And he had a ton of strikeouts. He was just untouchable that night. So a couple of good ones there.
Two ones that I remember both in Oakland. One was in 2007, Kurt Schilling had a no-hitter going into the ninth inning that ended up being broken up. That was, kind of one of the first years I really started following the team, like I've mentioned before. So I was like on pins and needles for that one since I actually didn't watch the Buchholz or Lester one live. I just happened to miss them. But no, that one really stands out for me. And the other one that I remember pretty well is Brandon Workman's first MLB start. It wasn't his MLB debut because he made a few games out of the pen, but he went something like 7 innings before he gave up a hit, or maybe he was even in the 8th inning before he did. So those two games really stand out to me a lot.
Yeah. So it was Shannon Stewart that broke up Schilling's no-hitter. Just to confirm, I couldn't think of who it was. I know I said like Jock Jones or Milton Bradley. I knew it was like one of those. Yeah, it was Shannon Stewart.
Good to know.
Yep.
But yeah, so I think. Yeah, go ahead, Jack.
No, there was the one no-hitter against us, so we kind of should talk about that. Just in interest of being fair and balanced.
Sure. Yeah.
So that game fucking sucked. This late night Oakland game. That was when I was living in New Jersey too, so I just heard it from a whole bunch of Yankees fans. But I feel like nobody really cares about it at this point because we ended up winning the World Series that year, so it doesn't count.
No, it doesn't count. And I remember that night very well. I was bowling. And like I was watching the game because they had the game on like the big screens, above like the lanes.
Yeah.
And I was just watching the game so intently, and all my friends were like, "Dude, what do you worry about? Like the Red Sox are in first place, they're doing great." I'm like, "Dude, they're getting fucking no hit right now. Like they're getting no hit." I was like, "I cannot allow this to happen. I just cannot." And I was I was honestly very sad. I really was. Like to see your favorite team get no hit is just so embarrassing.
It sucks, yeah.
Because you're gonna hear it from the other side. Like you're just gonna hear it from Yankee fans, like so poorly.
You're just like, oh, here we go.
You didn't even hear about it from Oakland A's fans. You only heard about it from Yankees fans, the 4 Rays fans, and anybody else.
Exactly.
The 4 Rays. Yeah.
Exactly. That was really it. The other close one, which Jack we were mentioning before the show, was the Yu Darvish game. That was David Ortiz breaking that one up.
Yeah, and if you actually watch the video, he hit it like into the shift. He just hit it past guys and broke it up with 2 outs in the 9th. Should have been a 2-hitter. People forget that he kind of popped up in the 7th inning, and then the ball was just never even touched, but they ruled it an error. So I think it might have even ended up being changed to a hit later on. So that was some home field advantage with the scorekeeper there.
Yeah, for sure.
Exactly. But I think that about wraps it up for episode 13 here, the no-hitter episode. So yeah, obviously thank you guys again for listening and all the subscriptions and retweets and the interactions on Twitter and Instagram and all that's in all social media. So thank you again for that. Obviously, we've had a lot of interactions, people engaging, listening to the podcast, all that stuff. So definitely keep it up, and obviously thank you again for listening.
Yeah.
We're, going to try keep doing kind of the same formula that's been going on here, where, next week we'll probably actually have some MLB news that we might be able to talk about, or at least hopefully we do. And, kind of try to have some fun episodes as well. We're also planning on doing some giveaways. I think we're going to announce that on Twitter even a little bit later today. So definitely appreciate, any support that you have, recommending us to friends, family, any Yankees fans, so that way they can be miserable while they listen to us and they remember how terrible their team is over and over again. So it's a nice reality check.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also, if you are Jason Dominguez and you are listening, congratulations on your Cooperstown, obviously, induction.
He's getting in.
It's been a big month for you. So you and your family must be very proud. Jason Dominguez, Sandy Leon was the only active Hall of Famer, but now Jason Dominguez is the second. So congrats to him.
Yeah.
Big shout out. Yep.
Unbelievable.
I think it's even more remarkable that not only is he in Cooperstown, he's also in the Japanese League Hall of Fame as well, since he spent so much time over there, and also the KBO Hall of Fame. So it's truly impressive.
Yeah.
And not to mention all the time that he spent in the Australian Baseball League as well.
Yep. He will be in Monument Park, I think, probably by April. So I think they got the plans for the statue in Monument Park. I think the expressway is going to be the Jason Dominguez Expressway in New York. So,
just a heck of a career for the guy, and it's good to see him get rewarded.
It is.
Getting the call to the Hall of Fame is unbelievable.
Yep. No, it is unbelievable.
Shout out to him.
Yeah, big shout out.
And all the Yankee fans, that's a big, that's big.
Yeah.
If you are a Yankees fan listening, I want to hear you chirping. You should actually tweet us so that way we can embarrass you.
Yep. Send them in.
Yep.
For sure.
All right. Well, it was fun.
Yep.
Peace.
See you guys. Peace.